Hi everyone. Hi. 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 Oh, welcome to the stream. I am Hamish Steele. I'm very scruffy right now. I have a beard that is maybe the longest it's ever been. I don't know, but I've been traveling on a book tour around the world, but mostly just America and Canada. Sorry, Brazil, I will come one day. But yeah, I've barely been home for the whole of the month, it feels like. And it's because... Whoa! Ooh, look at all those books. Yeah. I have a lot of books to get through today. Basically, the rules are be nice, be patient, be lovely to each other. If you see anyone being a nonce, a nuisance, but also a nonce, let me know, or, I don't know, report them or something. But that shouldn't be the case, because my followers are lovely. And the other rule is you just like to have fun. I'm going to do a Q&A part of this, but there's a lot to get through. There's a lot of books. I'm also doing commissions, kind of. Don't expect too much from the commissions. As you can see, I have to do a lot, but they're just going to be like a little personalized doodle. Some people have asked for personalized ones. If you have not asked for a personalized one, or you missed that aspect of it, I will just draw a character. I think it's a bit too much to organize asking which character people want, so I hope you like what you get. Yeah, should we get started? Would people like music on? Sometimes putting music on makes things better. Sometimes you get copyright claimed and taken down, but maybe I can choose something that won't be affected. Hi everyone, sorry if I missed your comments. If there's anything people want me to see that I missed, just like spam and let me know. I'm new at this, I don't go live very often. I am also trying to record this on my phone, screen capturing, and I'll try and upload it to YouTube, but I don't know what's going to run out first, Instagram Live or my phone's battery or camera, or I don't know. I've got everything plugged in. It should work fine. I'm scrolling through my playlists to see if there's anything appropriate. There are some character playlists I've thought about playing, but again, it's all very copyrighted music, so I'm wondering if I choose something... I've had this playlist forever called Relaxing Evening Music, but now half the things there have disappeared, and it's just like movie soundtracks. Also, my door's open. Sorry if there's barking dogs, children, laughter, all the worst sounds in the world, But, okay, let's just start with some music and see what happens. My dog has also just had an operation, so is kind of... sometimes wearing a cone, sometimes not, sometimes whining, but he's happy, he's good, he's well taken care of. People are saying play dead end songs. I could, if they were available somewhere, and they're a bit loud, but we can play My Frankenstein to get started, as I sign the first one. So yeah, I was just in LA. I did a book signing with Zach and Cody, and that was really fun. I had such big attendance, which was also really touching. And all the questions were about the show. Today, I'm happy to answer any questions. But I'd love to talk about the books. Some of you will have already read them or have got your copies already. Some of you will be waiting, so I won't be too spoilery, but there's stuff to talk about. My dog is looking at something he wants but can't get, so I'm expecting a little bark in any second now. Eddie, no. He's eating flowers. What a fruity little dog. Okay. Let's start. Let's just start. I've got so much to get through. And I know there's questions coming in. Please submit questions via however you submit questions so that I can get to them. Otherwise, they don't show you many comments at once. I don't know. Whether I go to Philly or not is like dependent on if the publisher sends me, because this little book tour I did, I paid for all of it, so it was I need to generate some more money, which is why I'm doing the signing, so I can come on more tours. The life of an author. Someone just also asked about merch, and I know that you've seen photos of merch floating around, and sometimes I have them on my table at cons. None of that is official merchandise. It's just leftovers from the crew's gifts. So I've pretty much gone through the supplies of that. I am looking at ways to get some new merchandise between Netflix and the book and Union Square. The right situation around that, I have no idea what's going on, so I just have to like chase all that up and make sure everything is cool. I'm sorry. As much as I love my Frankenstein, this kind of music is like, I can't speak or work to something so energetic. Okay, so I'm going back to relaxing music, sorry. I keep saying we're about to start. I've seen a lot of questions about Logs' sister. What does she look like? A woman. I've never drawn her. I've always meant to. I've always had like abandoned stories involving Logs' family, but just there's never been time. I think if I was still doing the webcomic, then I would be having a lot more of those kind of storylines. That was the plan initially when I was doing the webcomic, but with the graphic novels, like, so much about it is like, can I do all of this in like 20 pages? On the show, we only had 20 episodes. There was only one bit in which, so she's called Wendy. There was only one bit which she was truly cut from, that we had originally written and then we cut. And it was that Wendy was going to be Logs's dream dinner party guest in the dinner party episode. And she was going to appear for a moment, and they were going to like do a kind of brother-sister like handshake thing and be like, oh, she's my best friend. But season 2, there was a lot of budgetary constraints. I don't know if people have noticed, but trying to justify an entire new character design, there was like a whole new person for a simple bit, and then cast a new actor and like do all this stuff. Those are just kind of the things that got cut, and so sadly Logs' dream date was the parrot, which, because it's so simple, it would like counted as a prop. So yeah, it was a sad like little cut thing, but maybe I'll draw her one day. Cool. Oh, my dog wants to say hello. Should we all see my dog? Everyone's like, oh, you must have a pug because of Pugsley, but I have maybe the polar opposite creation, the creature. This is Eddie, little boy. Hello. How are you? He's just a little snake, little Nazgul, little xenomorph. He's a sort of the grey lady. Yeah, he's very sweet, but he might bark because I'm talking to myself at the table and he's desperate for attention all the time. Okay, I've stalled for 10 minutes. The only other thing I will say is that there's some news. Don't get your hopes up. But I can just say, actually, it's out. But Dead End Paranormal Park won a GLAAD award last night. It won, where is it? It won, like, Best Animated Show. Outstanding Kids and Family program. Dead End Paranormal Park. It won. But, like, GLAAD has not tweeted about it. No one sent me an email about it. I barely have... I, like, had to go on their website to look at the results, and it just said that it won. But, like, no one's told me. I was gonna go, but I was also told that, like... oh, they won't give that out on stage or, like, even in the ceremony. And I was like, okay. But I'm really pleased. It's really great. I just, you know, I would have loved to have been there. I keep checking back because they're sort of putting out the results, like, every couple of hours. It's really weird. But it did happen. So, hooray! We did it! Dead End won a GLAAD award. I want to thank everyone at the Academy, and I don't know, I didn't prepare a speech, because there he is, he's barking. He's having a big yap, but it's fine. So at some point, when they post about it, if they post about it, I'll retweet and say it all officially, but that's where we are for now. Okay, I need to start now. On Streamily, some people are considered VIPs and some aren't. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I was told that VIP orders are ones I have to do on stream. The other ones I don't have to, but I would like to. I'm going to try to anyway. I might have to do like a second one at some point because there's a lot. Okay, so the first one. Okay, well this is going to be confusing. I have quite a few that aren't made out to anyone. And I guess I'll just sign them. Okay, so the first one is a hardcover Watcher's Test. If people haven't got these yet, you're going to love them. It's truly the definitive version, and there are some differences. Which again I'm going to talk about in due course. I don't want to spoil too much. There's like a few pages that are fully changed, and I have noticed some people notice them. I don't know in a positive or a negative way. I guess all I'll just say is that they were originally published by Nobrow, and they had their editors, and now they're published by Union Square, and they have their editors, and we had a good time sort of updating them. I think they're really cool, but I don't know. There's been 100 different versions of these books now. Some people own all of them, and so I've fully George Lucas to myself, special editions. But we'll talk about it. Okay. So I am signing this for the first time. Woo! Okay. Hi there, Hamish. Could the signature be made out to Kai by chance? And could it be signed in character, Norma if possible, with a sketch of her? Okay, I'm gonna do that. Do you want my signature? Because I'm also drawing things on these little cards and putting them in, so I can kind of do both. I'll do both. So I'm doing hi Kai, my signature, and keep it to yourself. Tell me if the music's too loud. Funny when they're signing character, I have to like come up with signatures for these characters. So this is the random Norma signature I've come up with. Ooh, and a little ghost at the end because she's spooky. But because they've wanted another, I don't know. I'm so bad at talking today. I'm still jet lagged. My dog is now fully asleep, even though he was barking a second ago. But I'm just sort of jet lagged. I watched Eurovision last night and then stayed up till like 3 watching random clips on the internet. Because that's how I be. Okay. Sorry, this is the first one I'm done, so I'm like really thinking like, how do I do this? How should I do this? And then I have to write something on the back to make sure that they get to the right person. Okay. Book number 1 done. Oh. Okay. So the next 2, it's 2 paperbacks, but they're not made out to anyone, so I'm just going to sign them, as I do usually. I will get to questions in a second, so maybe I'll do that now while I'm... Okay, as we were talking about sisters, were there plans for Anna to make a physical appearance in the show? Early plans, yeah. So originally, when we came to start the writer's room, pretty much every chapter in the book was just in the show as was in the book. Like, so you'll notice that chapter 1 and episode 1 are very similar, but after that they kind of changed quite a lot. And that was because I wrote like a very rough outline for episode 2, which was based on chapter 2 of the books with like the Echo Child. And Netflix said that even though they loved that chapter in the book, it felt weird as episode 2 of the show because we just introduced Pugsley, a talking little character, and then we were just introducing another one for episode 2, and we'd barely got to know Pugsley. And so they asked us to just write a new episode that really focused on Pugsley, which was the mascot one. Which I kind of agree with. I think I love that chapter in the book, and I was like sad to lose it, but I think it makes sense the way we did it. And as a result, like, that kind of had a ricochet effect, I don't know what the term is, for all the episodes. And so it meant us like focus more on our characters that we have in the show and less on introducing new characters. So when it came to do episode 3, and I was like, okay, Anna should be in this, it was actually like, well, let's focus more on Norma and like focus more on the bond of Norma and the friends. Again, in the books, Barney and Norma are like already friends when the book starts, and in the show we wanted to show the like building of a relationship, and I think just constantly introducing new characters is like a kind of webcomic crux that I was using when writing the books, and just when writing the show it made more sense to focus on our main characters. That's why. But again, like, Anna and Wendy, Logs' sister, are canon. In the show, Norma's mum does mention Norma's sister, and Norma mentions her sister. And our the sort of canon of where she is that she's just a little bit older and at university or lives alone. So that's that on that. God, my voice is already getting like hoarse. Okay, I would love to answer this one. So, happy Mother's Day to Paimon, Queen of Darkness. There's so much about season 3 I want to tell people, but every time I post about it, it's like kind of bittersweet. And also there are things in season 3 that are going to be in book 3, so I don't want to spoil book 3 too much. But there was one episode in season 3 which I'm sad that none of them happened, but there was one that I really wanted to happen called My Demon Best Friend's Mother's Wedding. And it was Paimon was getting married to Baal, the three-headed demon character from the books. And it was like Zagan and Paimon and Tamalucas's family coming together with Baal and Asmodeus's family. And Zagan and Payman's family were all kind of like goths and sort of really serious and really like, we are like taking the Angel Rebellion really seriously, and the Baal Asmodeus side of things were like, let's just enjoy ourselves, like tomorrow could be the last day, and they were much more party animals. At that point in the series, Courtney was working for Pale, the angel leader, and was tasked with breaking up the wedding because weddings between demons from different planes was forbidden. But at the same time, sorry, I'm just like fully laying out there. Zagan asked Norma to be her like +1 at the wedding, and Asmodeus asked Barney to be his +1. So like everyone was at the wedding. Now, the reason I'm explaining all that is that the first time we were going to see Paimon walk was down the aisle, and like the whole episode is this giant sort of horrifying coffin creature speaking really quietly and sinisterly, but also getting kind of nervous in her dressing room about the big day and like trying to look nice. And then she was just gonna like slide down the aisle going like and like kind of making everyone wince. We just imagined her moving sort of like a Dalek, but like also sort of hopping around. I don't know if you've played the Zelda games with those Armos knights where they kind of go like blub, 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 blub. Like that's kind of mostly how she was going to walk. And then, so Courtney was going to break up the wedding and both sides of the family were going to be fighting. But then the way that they get back together is we find out that Paimon and Baal, all these names, met on the battlefield, and actually them fighting makes them like fall in love all over again, because it's like, oh, you looked just as beautiful as you did when you were like torching that village. And yeah, so that was the episode. It was going to be by Jen Bardakoff, who wrote co-wrote the musical with me, but also why am I losing track? The Norma coming out episode, and a few others. Basically, we realised that for season 3, Jen hadn't actually written anything in the Demon Plane, so we wanted to give her that. Similarly, there was people like Mia, who almost exclusively wrote stuff in the Demon Planes. We wanted to give them something more grounded. So that's that on that. I'm not going to get through these books if I keep talking about episodes in that much detail. How do you pronounce Cahatl? Now, all of these names come from the like biblical paracanon and like Solomon's demon list. I don't fully know. I found out during production that Tamalucas is probably Temelicus, from someone on the production crystal who's Greek and was like, that's probably how you pronounce it. And I was like, ugh. But I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. So I've said Cahatl. I regret most of these names. Sorry. I don't know how people have been pronouncing it. People are shocked. Cahatl. How would you pronounce it? I'm very interested to know. God, people are really shocked at these revelations. I'm also dyslexic, and I read everything out very literally, so I'm probably wrong. What's my opinion on dead end cosplayers? I'm one. I cosplay Courtney. I'd love to see the Courtney. I mean, I love them. Of course I love them. I've been able to meet a few of them. There was a few at TCAF. There was someone dressed up as Barney at the LA signing. When I walked into the library for the signing, I fully walked past Cahatl. Cahatl sounds nicer. The pronunciation of Zagan came in the writer's room when we're like, is it Zagan or Zagan? And we just like put our hands up which sounds better, and we all voted Zagan. So Cahatl. But yeah, I fully walked past the line assuming it was for someone else, and then I clocked that someone was Barney, and I was like, oh no, they're all for me, which was very cool. So I'm now signing a hardcover for Henry. No instructions, so I'm just gonna go at it. Okay. Ooh. So I'm using silver pen for the paperback and black pen for the hardback because the silver pen, the paperbacks don't have this like opening page that black pen shows up on. How do you feel about this fandom's ships? It's so funny. I mean, here's the thing. You can spend your like formative writing years on Tumblr and see 100 posts being like, why can't we just have like M+M sweet, no dramas relationship? Why can't we like have basically Barney and Logs? And then you make Barney and Logs, and like almost no one ships them, or not ships them, but like I barely see any fan art about them. And then I'm scrolling through my Tumblr or my Twitter, and I see pale X ball ship art, and I'm like, those characters, one of them has 14 seconds of screen time in the show. One of them is never in the show. They've never shared a scene. Cody's in the chat. Whoop, 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 whoop. Norma is here. Cody, it was so nice to see you the other week. We can never seem to hang out as much as I want us to. But, thank you for coming. Yeah, what I'm saying is I all the ships make me laugh. I think it's better to let fandom like discourse about it all, but I just think it's funny that you can seemingly give the people what they want and they always want something else. You can never predict it, which is good advice for when you're writing your own stuff. Like, fun fact, Barney and Logs were never actually meant to get together. I originally designed Logs as kind of like more of a Josh, more of a like, not bully character, but just like a jerk in the park that they didn't like. But then the first panel I drew of him, when I put it up on Tumblr, the first like webcomic page of him on, and the response was like, oh my god, I ship it already, blah blah blah. And so like, I don't fully follow what fandom does, but it did make me like assess like what the comic should be about, because any page involving like Barney and Logs got just way more response than anything about like demon lore and stuff, so I kind of refocused it that way. Which character for Dead Endy is the hardest to draw for you? It's a good question. In the third book, I've given a lot of the characters very complicated costumes, and it is making me sort of regret. I like make a really elaborate design and then I have to draw them 50 times, and like, ugh. All the angels are kind of hard to draw because getting that like circular donut, like none of it's mathematically like accurate or anything. I just sort of drawing them from any angle other than the front is really hard. So they're hard. But fun fact, I used to find Pugsley really hard to draw because he was so simple. It was like much easier to get him wrong. But I find him easier now. So the next one is for Griffin Brown. I'd like a drawing of Courtney and Gord, please. That I can do. So what I typically do, I sign the book. Then, let's do a Courtney and a Gord. I do get this question quite a lot, and I guess it's been enough time since the show for me to like answer a bit truthfully. I've always been a bit worried about answering this because so I didn't have my autism diagnosis when I started production on the show, and there was a lot of like conversations early on about like needing an autistic consultant on the show, and we did have one, and she was fine, but there were times that I really disagreed with some of her points, including stuff about working with autistic people. I found some of her points a little yikes, and I constantly felt kind of scared to like bring up that like, hey, maybe you should assume that someone in the room is autistic and that they might hear what you're saying. But at the time we were deciding certain things about that, it was like really early days, and I was kind of worried to rock the boat too much. And essentially one thing that came up was like, well, you can't trust autistic people to like work on a show. And I'm like, okay, not only me, but there's like other autistic people in the room, other autistic people on the production, and you're basically saying that you don't trust us to make a show, and I'm not feeling very comfortable right now. So that's not the real reason, but that was like a really weird experience early on that made me feel kind of scared to like explore certain topics. And yeah, so anyway, all of that said, it was like I'm almost again, I don't want this to become a big deal, because it was like we moved past it really quickly, and I think by the time I like could talk about that stuff more openly, we'd like written the episodes. Now that said, it was in quite a few drafts. It was in the episode 3, like one of the episode 3 drafts. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't. There was no real big reason why. It was just like writing dialogue, things change. I think there were some notes that episode 2 and 3 felt too similar when both characters were like coming out to each other about something, and that they kind of ended on the same scene. I didn't really agree, because autistic people just talk about, being on the spectrum very openly. But yeah, I mean, it would probably be in the 3rd season. It's in the books. It gets mentioned, so it's just one of those things. What I will say is, my next book, I can't say anything about it yet, but I have signed a deal, so it is happening. But I can't tell you anything more. But it's like what if I could write Dead India and like know from the start that the main character is autistic, and it's like really about that. It's sort of dealing with the idea of it's like a superhero story, and the superhero persona is like a metaphor for sort of masking. So I hope you like it. We'll see what it is. I know I've talked a little bit about it on Patreon, but I'm hoping we can announce something soon. Cool. Next one. I'm constantly checking if I've done everything right. Yeah. Okay. Paperback. This is to Michaela. Anything with Pauline. Great. But obviously I'm working on Dead India 3 first, so that book's not going to be around for a little while. But I'm really excited. Again, not to talk about it too much, but that next comic is an idea I had before Dead India. But for various reasons, I just like didn't feel up for drawing it back then. It's going to really test me as an artist, and I just did not feel like I could do it justice back then. But now I feel like I still can't do it justice, but if I keep delaying it, I'll never do it. So, what the hell? I'm drawing all of these in Sharpie, so there's like no mistakes allowed. This is really revealing why you have like a team of artists on the show. Gosh, I can barely draw these characters. There's some characters that I do not draw as much as others, and Pauline was in the show a lot more than is in the books. And this is the strangest picture I've ever seen of her. I'll show you it in a second. I keep forgetting to show you these illustrations. I should really do that. I'll just go and get the ones I've done. So, like, I just drew this one. There's for Courtney and Gord. And I've just drawn this beautiful Pauline. Very off model. You know, there's so much good Dead India fan art, it can be a little intimidating that this chat is filled with people who can draw my characters way better than I ever can. Okay. Okay. So this is another hardcover Broken Halo. But it says they want the illustration to be Pugsley meeting Beetlejuice, which I can oblige. Do the angels have genders, or are the pronouns just whatever? Here's the thing. A lot of my characters are just pronouns are whatever. I know the Courtney thing is like often brought up. Like, genuinely in the writer's room before we'd cast Courtney, we were using any pronoun, and we had every gender sort of audition for Courtney. And so in the books, they're they, them, but not out of really... They just don't really know what gender is, and it's like really silly to use it for Courtney. But we did want to use the pronouns of whoever we cast in the role. But yeah, I mean, I've seen like Pale, I use him quite intentionally because I think you'll see more about Pale in the third book, and I just think like what I'm saying that character represents. It's a him, sorry. But like most of the kind of monstrous and demonic characters, it feels weird to put a gender on them, but I also don't want to like suggest that non-binary people are all weird alien monsters. So it's just like a weird, delicate like balance to play where I don't think you can really misgender them, but also I don't think these monsters are like non-binary representation. My favorite drink. But again, another thing I'm doing in my next book, one of the lead characters is non-binary. So yeah, it's fun kind of like creating a whole new set of characters for the new books, because I've been with the Dead Endia ones for so long. And the Dead Endia characters all kind of represented my friends at the time I was creating it. And now the new book represents my new friends. Or like how I see the world now. Like I started the Dead Endia things in 2014, but kind of earlier, 2013, 2012. Oh, fun fact. This is very nerdy fact. This song is called The Life and Death of Amy Pond from the Season 5 soundtrack of Doctor Who. For the longest time, this was the temp track in the cliffhanger for episode 19, the one which has the Pugsley reveal. And yeah, so we got our composer to kind of give the same feeling this song does, because I really like the song and I really like the series of Doctor Who. Which is pretty evident if you've watched the finale of season 2 of Dead Endia. Okay, gotta draw Beetlejuice and Pugsley. I don't really like this so far, I might change it. That's why I bought more paper. Okay. I am, of course, drawing the Alex Brightman Beetlejuice, not the Keaton one. Unless that's what they wanted. Let's answer another question. I've already answered this. I'm just doing it in case you missed it. Yeah, she was in early drafts, but a lot of characters got cut in favour of focusing on our main characters. And another example is kind of Gord. Even though Gord is clearly in the show, I think people who read the books will be kind of surprised to see Gord have like lines of dialogue and kind of be a villain for a few chapters. And that's because, again, in early drafts of the show, Gord was the one who had the whole, like, I've been banished to Earth and I'm gonna do anything I can to, like, get home narrative that Courtney got. But then, as a result, we, like, kind of struggled to find a place for Courtney in the show. In the books, even, Courtney isn't in every chapter. They're kind of like a drifter in and out of the story. And that's how they were going to be in the show. So we just kind of realised that a lot more focus should be put on our mains, and as a result, Gord became kind of silent. That said, if we got a third season, I really wanted to voice Gord in the final episode. I really wanted there to be a moment of like the finale happening, and then Gord sort of slugs on the screen and goes, like, and wasn't that a beautiful story, or whatever. There you go. Here is Pugsy meeting Beetlejuice. Yeah, that's all. That's all I can say about that. Let's go back to the website. Currently, we are listening to the soundtrack to my favorite film, Speed Racer. In fact, the next thing I'm making is not very Speed Racery, but it definitely like has that tone, I suppose. What was Finger's backstory for the show? Yeah, Finger's in the books and the show are very different. I think I've said this before, but the genuine reason we cut Fingers from season 1 was because of Hootie. I don't know what was going on in the water that year, but Hootie from the Owl House and Fingers in the books is this like long sort of cylinder thing that lives in the house and has a kind of goofy voice. And it was just like all the jokes we wanted to do with Fingers like had just been done better by the Owl House, so we cut him. And then as we were writing season 2, it just became natural that based on what happened in season 1, Courtney would have some kind of repercussion from the Angels, and so we sort of altered the character quite a lot. And again, we didn't really know he'd be a full villain starting out, spoilers, but it just kind of ended up that way. We needed a villain. It felt too soon to just fully introduce the Angels. Little did we know that was going to be all the episodes we got. So he just became this like middle manager character. But one thing I can say is that he's made of the same substance that walking around some episodes, you see these like creatures in business suits with something stapled to their face, and they're made of this kind of white gunk. We called them daddies because the main one you see has a child's drawing with daddy written on it. That white gunk stuff is the same thing that Fingers is made out of, and they're both... Sorry, there's a car outside. They're both cut from the same creature that you see in Pale's boudoir, which... yeah, I think that's sort of sorry, I was just Googling to get it right. That's sort of all we got up to. I can't say too much. It's not really related to the books, but Fingers has an interesting role in the third book, and I don't want to spoil it too much. You want some Gord lore? Okay, so in season 2, episode 1, Norma says that Gord is from Gagin, one of the planes, and that plane is kind of all made of meat. But that plane is also all made of Gord. So similar to the Hi Terry, an amazing comic creator in his own right and a big inspiration and friend of mine. He gave me the push to make rock and roll, and he's always been there for me. So follow Terry in the chat. But yeah, the whole plane was sort of made out of gourd, and there was going to be this like gourd tower. Here's the thing about season 3. Whenever I talk about like this was going to happen, it's very like easy for me to say like everything was going to happen. That's not the case. Like when we talked about season 1 and 2, we were saying like everything's going to happen. This is this and that. When you come to make the show, obviously you have a budget, you have time, you cut things out. So just because I say like something was planned or something was an idea, doesn't mean it would have definitely happened. And the version of season 3 you got wouldn't have been like the dream perfect thing in your head. It would have had compromises. But yeah, the backstory, at least, for Gord is that like he comes from a plane where everything is gourd and people live on gourd, and he's just like cut from it and got lost. I got lost. I definitely need to speed up. So I'm doing Trevor's now. And you've asked for a sassy teapot. I think I can provide that. I'm trying to work out what colour this teapot should be. And just quite how sassy they should be. But it's a good... it makes a change. It's... one of the most interesting requests I've been given. I mean, teapots are kind of naturally sassy. They're sort of doing the RuPaul pose the whole time. Sometimes when people make requests like, I need a sassy teapot, you find out that they've asked, like, every comic artist in the world for a sassy teapot. And you're sort of, like, contributing to a giant tapestry that you have no idea about. I worry that this is not sassy enough. Should this sassy teapot have hair? Should I give it like a big bouffant? Okay, I'll draw some hair. I'm a sassy teapot. There you go. That's a sassy teapot if I ever saw one. Okay. Boop. Boop. Ooh, this is a good one. I don't have a name, but it says Barney and Norma cosplaying as Mario and Luigi, maybe going up against a Boo, but up to you. I can make that happen. What's the name of the little raspy-voiced pink demon? I'm not exactly sure which one you mean, but if it's... we called... one of them was like the leader of the Implings. So there's... I am recording this live. I don't know how long the recording lasts, but I'll try and record all of it and upload it to YouTube this week. So there's the Implings, which is the sort of the blue and sometimes purpley, like minions of that. So someone said the fetus one. Oh, okay. So that one is called Dearest. That is the only demon we got a lot of pushback from Netflix in terms of like design, because originally they were extremely flesh colored and like dripping, and they had an umbilical cord that was floating next to them, and then we wanted the like cords to be the thing speaking, but yeah, they weren't into that, so we changed its color. It like we sent them a few ones which were sort of green and more crazy colors, but I'm glad that we settled on something at least a little bit sort of fleshy. So yeah, Dearest. A lot of them have kind of like boring names, but they were all just named by the character designers. I wish I knew exactly who named who, but it was probably a combo of Jonathan, Ryu, Domi, or maybe me, but I don't know. The one that's like a skeleton in a big like sheet, that one's called Catherine. The one that's kind of like I think he isn't in many episodes, but he was one of the first ones we designed. He's this big green thing without a head. That one's called Green Thumb. I'm trying to think if there's any others. There's one that's like a witch's hat, and I think it was just called Nice Hat, but I started calling it Tiffany after my friend Tiffany Baxter, who's another artist who you should follow, because she's very witchy and draws a lot of witchy art, and I've always seen her in a big hat. So yeah. But yeah, but you might see these names if you like look up concept art. Is there any chance we see the evil clones again? Well, there's no more episodes, so at the moment, no. They don't appear in the comics either, but they're sort of inspired by an episode of Super Sentai and Power Rangers when they become evil. I think that there's a Power Rangers episode where two of them turn evil and they do some bad things, but I'm more familiar with the Super Sentai episode where when they turn evil, there's like a montage of them doing evil things, and it starts with them like stealing a bike and pushing a kid over, and then it ends with them fully getting Tommy guns and like mowing down a whole group of people, and it like never gets addressed. Even when they turn back to being good, all those people are still dead, and you're like, okay, I guess we're not gonna put them on trial. But it was just inspired by that trope. One of the things I like to do in Dead Endia is take a like well-worn trope like body swap episode or evil twin episode or anything like that, and just do the kind of unexpected, queer, weird version of it. Like, I think what's fun in the evil twin episode is that they're actually not that evil, and they're the versions of those characters when they were cloned. So like when Norma gets cloned, she's editing the podcast and being like kind of judgmental about Badia's contributions to it, and when Barney gets cloned, he's panicking that he said I love you to Log, so he's like, oh, maybe I should run away, maybe I should do anything, so he's feeling very impulsive, so that's what his clone's kind of based on. And Courtney is like just being told, oh, that's demon magic, you're a useless demon, so when she gets cloned, she's kind of self-hating. So they're just like the elements of those characters that they are most ashamed to have brought to the surface, I suppose. I have been told that Instagram lives sometimes like only last an hour, but I've not had any like notification, and if that's the case, just join. I'm gonna just start another live and just join that. I'm recording all of it. Okay. So I'm drawing Barney and Norma as Mario and Luigi. It's always a relief when you like know the character someone asks you to draw. And I'm someone who has genuinely written Mario fanfiction and kind of got my start in drawing, editing Mario sprites. I kind of like first joined the internet to join Nintendo and Mario message boards. I'm not as cool as people think I am. I think Barney should have worn dungarees more. And I say more, I think, at all. I know one of the initial designs that Drew Green did for him, he was in dungarees. Here we go. There they are. Mario and Luigi doing what you can. Started trying to save the princess from a really evil man. I don't know. Super Mario, Super Mario. Okay, paperback for Murray. Can you please draw Kashiel and Pale doing a side hug? It's so nice when people get really invested in the characters who just like fully weren't in the show. I'm gonna make everyone sad again. Kashiel was gonna be in season 2. Kashiel was gonna be a bit different, as all the characters were gonna be. But I don't know, I might leak. I might put out some of the scripts we wrote, maybe on my Patreon or something soon. Am I breaking everyone's hearts with the pronunciations? I'm sorry. Let me know how you've been pronouncing it. I really don't mind. Oh, I wish that were me. Well-spoken rambler. I have been playing a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, but not as much as I wanted because of Eurovision and because of this. Like, I'm going to be playing a lot this week. But yeah, Kashiel was going to be the new Watcher. So, in episode 2 of season 3, which does have a script, I think a first draft, we were going to meet Kashiel, and it was literally just like a meat creature just like shoved into that Watcher helmet. So imagine Kashiel from the books, but the sort of onion-shaped Watcher helmet just sort of crammed on the head with sort of the mouth underneath, and it was just kind of like be on the hunt for something in the park, and was going to be very, very scary, and like not a funny character in any sense, which I'm sad about. I've used the design that we were going to use Fictional in book 3 for something else. We meet a lot of angels in book 3. So you'll kind of get to see a little bit of what we planned. And once book 3 is out, I think I'll be even more open to talking about what the plan for season 3 was, because book 3 is based on our plans, and season 3 was based on my initial plans for book 3, so it's like a sort of never-ending loop of both books referencing each other. Can you say anything else about season 3? I know I talk about it a lot, but I could never really stop talking about it. Here's the thing, Netflix never promised us it. Their initial commission was just for the 20 episodes, and then they gave us a little writer's room for season 3 based on how, happy they were with 1 and 2. And they just couldn't justify it with, a lot going on at the company and everything. So I don't really hold any ill will towards them. Obviously it's sad to get cancelled. But onwards and upwards. Something I've never said, but I'm going to say that I always say. Excuse me, someone is putting their rubbish away downstairs. This is such a funny image. Such a funny thing to request. What else was going to be in season 3? Well, I said this at the book launch. There's a scene in book 2 of Barney on the beach post-top surgery, and was the first scene of episode 1 of season 3. That script was the most finished. We did several drafts of it. With a new writer, Ayola, who was the editor of my Cock and Roll book and one of my best friends. So I felt bad that she didn't get her episode on screen, but she did a lot of work on Dead End, invaluable, you could say. So she was fine with it, but I just felt bad. I felt bad, the day when I had to tell the crew was really, really sad, but I think everyone was like, how are you doing, Hamish? I'm like, I'm fine, but how are you? It's all good. What else? There was going to be a completely out of this world, over the top twist in the 3rd season. But I'm worried about saying it because it is not something that's in the 3rd book either. But it's always been a thing that I've planned for, but there's just never been enough time to reveal it and kind of handle the aftermath of it. But strangely, at FlameCon, someone came up to me and was like, they got it. With the tiny little hints we put in the show, they managed to get this completely out of left field twist. And I'm so curious how. I'm like, did someone tell them? Because only a few people in the crew knew. And we had to okay, I'm begging, tell me on my hands and knees. Okay. By the way, here's a picture of Pale and Kashil giving a side hug. And I like to imagine that this was at like an angel like office Christmas party. So thank you for suggesting that, Murray. That's the funniest thing I've drawn today. And I drew a sassy teapot. Okay. Then we have 2 for Evan. Asking for smiley faces. I can oblige. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the twist was. So, you know, I mentioned those daddies. They are the, like, gloopy, suit-wearing things that you see. They're walking around the Necropolis City. You see them in the first episode. There's one at Tamalucas's thing. So, they are echoes. They're the same thing that's in chapter 2 of the first book. They're just grown up. They're like this guy. And they're angels, technically. But they work down in the demon planes. They work... they kind of slot into wherever they need to be. In demon or whatever society. And there was going to be like a little discussion about this. In this 3rd season, we were going to like meet a bunch of them on the elevator. And Zagan was going to say that like... whatever. And echoes need an anchor to make them like believe they are who they've been told they are. So that's why they have like a child's drawing stapled to their forehead when they go to work, because they're like doing it for my family, even though they don't have any family. They are just basically I like to think of them as like the mortar between the bricks. They're just like things to fill in the cracks in the universe that have appeared because of the angels messing around with the planes. Now, the actual twist, that's not even it. The actual twist, I feel weird saying this, was that Patrick, Barney's brother, was also an echo. And that he came into existence as an angel plot to like keep tabs on Barney, and Patrick doesn't know that he is not real. He thinks he's a real child, but he doesn't exist. So basically, he doesn't exist at the start of the story. He comes into existence in episode 4. And that's when Barney first remembers he exists and is first like, wait, it's his birthday. I can't believe I ran away and left Patrick. And Patrick's anchor to the real world is his Mr. Max soft toy. So that's the thing that makes him believe that he's really alive and really whatever. And his parents think that he's always been there. And the reasons why, the details that we told the team to make sure that this twist would eventually work out in season 3, is they kept putting photos of Patrick in the house, in Barney's house, and I told them to get rid of them. Patrick is not in Barney's memory of the dinner party with his grandma, even though Barney's like, why, you know, he still sort of remembers him there in episode 4, but he's not there in his episode 3 memories. There's no hint of Patrick in like the flashback to Barney getting Pugsley. There's just like a lot of weird things. But it was like really messed up, and like even now I'm like, there's no space in the book to make that twist. There's no space. There's probably going to be no space in the show, but I like wanted to keep it there just in case. Which is what you do. Like all the time travel stuff, I was like telling people during season 1, like make sure you do this, make sure you do this, because we might do a time travel thing, and then we ended up doing it. Like in episode 2, when the mascot hugs Barney, we recorded Zach saying a few muffled things, and you can even hear in episode 2 when Barney and Pugsley fall into the laundry hamper, you can hear the time travel magic happening kind of vaguely, because future Barney is like underneath everything. So we like had plans early on to do this kind of stuff, and the Patrick one was the like season 3 twist, and it was done as a way to be like, they're fighting the angels, but wait, my brother's an angel, how do I do this? Okay, so when I told Annie, who was our Netflix exec, who's an amazing person. Whenever I talk about Netflix, I'm not talking about Annie, or even when I am, because sometimes I'm being positive, but she was like the main one we talked to. When I told her that, she was like, oh my god, we need season 3. I think it's what convinced her to get us the writer's room. But she didn't have the power to get us a 3rd season. She just tried her best. So this is for Evan. Evan asked for some smiley faces, and that's something I can definitely oblige. I'll show you the smiley faces in a second, and you can tell me if you think they're smiley enough. This is a smiley face for Evan. Smiley! Let's make sure I get these the right way. I'm sorry that I broke the internet with that Revelacion, but like I said, again, it might have happened, it might not have. But we were gonna have like a gloopy, sort of all-white version of Patrick, who was like being recalled back to the angel planes, and was gonna be a heartbreaking moment. But yeah, we never actually got to like... although, no, yeah, Tucker, who voiced Patrick, came back for season 2, only for a very short moment, just to kind of remind the audience that Patrick existed for this to happen. Cool. Okay. So the next one is for an absolute Pugsley superfan. I think I would pronounce this Magane-chan, but it does amazing Pugsley fan art. And of course has asked for a Pugsley, and I'm going to do that. I think they were worried that it hadn't gone through, like, the payment for the book or whatever, but you're here, and I am drawing Pugsley right now. They also got me, like, an amazing, they wrote me, like, a great note and some fan art, and someone handed it to me at TCAF. It was really lovely. Okay, I'm gonna try and write this. My brother used to live in Japan and speaks Japanese, and I don't, but I'm gonna try and write your name. Is that katakana? I don't know. I'm probably embarrassing myself. Oh dear. I'm gonna try and do it. think this is the soundtrack to Loki. You know, it's funny, for the longest time the MCU had quite, like, unmemorable music, but I actually think the one thing you can say about all the Disney Plus shows is the music's amazing. And Loki has such a good score. I'm going to draw an extra Pugsley on a sheet, because I know you will treasure it. Let's answer another question. Are you going to post more production art from the show? I plan to. If people have already received these books, they'll know that at the back there's these like little sections about. They're called the treasury sections. I can show you one right now. They kind of go into the history of Dead End. They've got like all the covers. They've got little bonus comics. They've got like early designs and stuff. And for the book 3 one, I'm going to show a little bit of like the initial pitch for the Dead End TV series, because that's kind of the only art that I like kind of own the rights to. And you'll see like a lot of the characters look quite different. But I'd like to post some more. The thing is, it's like, I would post everything, but I also want to give the crew the chance to post it themselves, and I sometimes miss when they have posted it. So if you like look up the crew members, you'll probably see a few more things. I'm drawing a very special Pugsley picture. There we go. I hope that's enough Pugsley for you. There's also a Pugsley in the book, but I'll save that for you. And yeah, I hope you like it. Thank you so much for being such a, I don't know, amazing fan artist in your own right. I'm sorry to keep talking about like the comic that's coming next, but it's not like a one-for-one. I haven't got like, here's the Pugsley character, here's the Courtney character. But I do have a big, cute, powerful creature character who is very different to Pugsley. But I hope you like them too. Okay. Were we ever going to see what the hell Fingers was attached to? Yeah. We see it in the final episode. There's this big sort of slumped up thing that he sort of gets cut off of. That thing's called Ymir. At least in the like notes. Sometimes we refer to it as the Divine, which is in the books but looks very different. So we had lots of plans for it, but I won't go into it too much because that's book 3 stuff. Curious as to if Daniel and Kehatel had a similar friendship as Danny and Courtney. I think it was similar, but the angel version of similar. When they were angels, they were like quite robotic, but I think they were very close. And they were clearly like more friendly with each other than most angels ever get to be. Okay. So the next one is for Dare Bear, who has asked for a drawing of Asmodeus or Asmodeus, we can never decide, being hella sexy AF. I can do that. It's very easy. So people who have got their book twos will have noticed that there is a slight change to a scene with Courtney and Danny. It's the only page, so mostly the changes are just adding pages and adding extra panels and stuff. But that is one page that's like actually different. And again, that comes from, I'm going to put the original page in the book 3 like treasury as well, so that's like these books contain everything that's ever been. But the reason for the change was just to like, in the show I felt it was very effective that there's like a big twist about Courtney's origins, and in the books originally it just was sort of mentioned flippantly in dialogue, so I just felt, and the publisher felt, it was better to like make that more of a reveal, to give it the same feeling the show does, where like it is a twist. I'm gonna make this sideways. We're gonna do a center spread. But keeping it PG, obviously. Oh god. This Asmodeus really shouldn't have skipped leg day. Let me do another question while I'm drawing this. Would Kashiel come back to life in book 3? Nah, he's squished. But there's lots of angels in book 3, so you'll get lots of new designs. But yeah, sorry. Is Badia actually straight, or is she a bit fruity? Book 3. That's what I'm going to say. Have you read any fan fiction for the show's books yet? If so, which and what do you think? I've not read fan fiction. I like fan fiction. I support it, and I've written it myself about other things. But I don't read fan fiction because I think it can get a little messy if you end up like the stories being similar and people thinking that you've stolen their ideas, and I don't want that to be the case. Maybe when the story's done, I'll read some and people say it's good, but I also try and like, I know I follow some of the fan artists and I retweet stuff. I also feel like I do want a certain amount of distance because I don't want people to think I'm constantly like looking over their shoulders, you know? And like, I want people to be free. I want people to be able to like draw what they want and not have like dad checking in on them. Any particular fan art or types of fan art that stick out to you? I do love it all, but I got given I can show it to you. over the years, I have been given some, like, gifts. And I have a little Courtney and a little Pugsley. And they come with me everywhere now. They just... You know, all fan art is equal, but being given something at a con is always, like... you know, it's always very sweet. Okay, can we get some Zagan facts? Sure. Right. Sorry, I'm just scrolling for something. I don't know. So, what do you want to know? Oh, sorry, I keep trying to draw a sexy Asmodeus, and it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'm rusty. Okay, finally, I'm drawing Az and he looks okay. I mean, I'm still trying to just do little light sketches, but I was really struggling for a second. Okay, so Zagan is from Bathmos. That's meant to be like a proper, like, Hammer horror, like vampires and mummies and Frankenstein sort of world. And she was not a vampire and then got vamped at 16. I'm really just saying details from the show. I'm trying to think. So Zagan's an interesting character because of all the characters, she was the one I was, like, most interested in writing, like, a spin-off book about. But I don't know if I'll ever get to do that, and I don't know if that's what I want to, like, do next. But I love the idea of her being this, like vampire high school queen. And, like, the popular girl is also the goth. I don't know. It sounds really bad now that I say it. But in the books, she never came across as, like, you know, a teen, and that was just sort of, like, a choice we made for the show. Because the characters in the books are, like, a bit older. But sorry, I'm really, like, not giving you what you want in terms of Zagan facts. I will just say this. A lot of people don't know that she's trans. I guess it's never said, but we cast Michaela J. Rodriguez very intentionally. I really wanted her. And I don't know, it's just like, if you're queer enough, you just sort of always forget that everyone else thinks vampires are, like, straight and cis, but vampires is, like, the most trans metaphor-y thing you can have, other than maybe werewolves. But, like, my headcanon is that... What am I saying headcanon? I created it. It's that I haven't got into the backstory, so if I say something now, it might not be the truth if I ever come to write this stuff. But the initial idea was that she came from a very, like, puritanical... she was on Bathmos, but she was part of the group that were, like, scared of all the monsters, and she was, like, a normal kind of demon girl, and went to a very strict sort of school but then kind of found herself both in terms of like gender and sexuality and being a vampire by like hanging out with the sort of vampire kids, and that was her kind of rebellious phase. And Payman really became more of a sort of mother figure when everyone in Bathmos kind of like did the whole torch and pitchforks, like get rid of the vampires kind of thing. And that's when she like joined the demon royal family. So the thing about the demon royal family is that they're not really like a family, it's much more of a found family. It's like the same thing that Barney, Norma, and Courtney and Pugsley are. There is a scene where Norma's like reading the family tree and it's like she's her second cousin, blah blah blah, but like it's intentionally confusing because none of them are like really related. Here is a sexy as. Do we love it? Is it still PG? I hope so. That was for Dare Bear. I'm really slow on this. I need to speed up. It's like already like an hour and a half and I've not even done the VIPs. I guess I'll do the VIPs today because there's only 7, and then I'll do the rest. I'll do the rest. I hope people have enjoyed themselves regardless. I'll do the rest off stream. I think I'm allowed to do that. But if I'm not, someone tell me off. I'll ask before I do. Okay. Let's ask and answer a question. Hope people are having fun. What do you think about Zagan and Badger, both as friends and as potential romantic interests? I'm going to talk about the book versions of the characters, or I mean, I guess the show versions, but the third book has a lot of that stuff. It's a lot of like pined looks between the three of them, trying to figure out who any of them are and whatever. But I think they have a lot in common, you know? I think Badger and Zagan, they both like Norma. They both like supernatural things. I think what's funny, what I've been enjoying writing a lot in the I'm throwing up so bad joke, okay? I think the thing I've been enjoying writing a lot in the third book is, if you think Norma's autistic, wait till you like get to know Zagan in the book, because she's not really had much of a presence in the books so far. She's kind of had a cool design and like swung her sword around, but the third book she's a proper character, and I think she's really fun to write for. The version in the show really influenced the version in the books, but the version in the show is definitely meant to be like still a sort of angry teen, and the version in the books is a bit more of a like jaded 20-year-old. So that's it. I don't know. I think all the ships made me laugh, and I'm glad that they bring people joy. So I'm doing a book for Andrew. You've asked for, can I have a drawing of Logs giving advice or something inspirational to help me get through hard times? Which version of Logs doesn't matter to me? I can do just that. Okay. Was there going to be a Barney dying bit in season 3, keeping the seasonal thing going? I think so. But here's the thing. While it seems like Barney dies all the time, here's another way of thinking about it. That he can't die. He's indestructible. He always comes back to life. But I think in the third series, there was definitely going to be other near misses. I mean, the stakes are higher. You have to like make them count. But I don't want to say too much because a lot of book 3 was season 3, and I want you to read it. What I will say, would there have been more songs in season 3? Now, in our original episode outline, there wasn't another musical, but there was a musical I wanted to pitch. It just would have to swap out for another episode. And it was based on whether we could, like, get the team back together with Patrick and stuff. One idea I had was that in the final battle in season 3, they'd, like, see a bunch of enemies, and they're like, how are we going to stop them? And Pugsy would be like, I know. And he does the musical spell again. And then, like, they manage to get through the whole army singing a kind of epic reprise of one of the songs from the musical episode. But there was this other idea I had, which was going to be the Demon Vision Song Contest, and we would have seen all the different demon planes like compete. And I had this idea that Earth has always qualified, but never... Not qualified, they've always been eligible, but they've never submitted anyone because they don't know this exists. And Barney finds out about it and submits logs because he has a really good singing voice, but he didn't get a solo song. And Logs gets entered into the Demon Vision Song Contest and is like, wait, what do I have to do now? And only because he got 2 votes from Barney and Barney's mum. And the thing is, the reason I didn't go with this is I explained this plot and someone said, that's a Rick and Morty episode, they did that already. And I was like, oh, whatever. But the idea was like the losing plane gets like invaded or whatever. But I'm sure we could have done a different version of it and had like a lot of kind of pop songs. Anyway. Okay, I gotta draw logs, speaking of. Seeing as I'm just like saying everything about season 3, I can say another thing that's not going to be in book 3, which was like what we were going to do with Pauline. And there was going to be an episode called America's Most Haunted Theme Park Attraction Celebrities or something. And the idea was that like a camera crew comes and films a like paranormal documentary show in Dead End, trying to contact Pauline, and Pauline would be the one who actually hired this crew, and she's like, okay, I'm at peace with my like death, but I'm gonna now start to reboot my career as a ghost, as a famous ghost. And she thinks that this will make her really famous, but then realizes that the camera crew are framing her life as like really pathetic, really tragic. No one liked her. They interview a bunch of like people who worked with her on movies, and they're like, yeah, she was a nightmare. And basically it's all backfiring. But the one person who doesn't want to take part is Barbara. And she's like, I have nothing to say to Pauline. But they keep trying to get her on because she's the person who knew her the best. This would be like a weird episode where Barney, Norma, and those characters would like be really secondary. They would be interviewed, but the most of the episode was going to be like a new character, like a reporter. And basically the culmination was going to be that we find out what Pauline's unfinished business is and why she can't pass on. And the unfinished business was that she thinks it's that she never achieved her dream of winning an OO, which is winning every Oscar category on the same night. And that she wanted to, like, have a number one single in every continent, and she's never been able to crack Antarctica. But her actual unfinished business is that she never said sorry to Barbara. And so the episode would have ended with, like, some spy cam footage, like, off the documentary of Barbara sitting beside Pauline, and Pauline realising that she's never done this, and saying, I'm sorry, and then Barbara would have turned back, and Pauline would have been gone. And that was how we were going to write Pauline out. But we didn't. Ha! I need to come up with some inspirational advice for Logs to say. I'm so terrible at explaining. What are you trying to explain? Okay, you're explaining something I said earlier. I am rambling completely. I'm really bad at inspirational quotes because I feel like they don't do much good at inspiring. I feel like maybe this is where I'm going with it. It feels like advice is the easiest thing to give and the hardest thing to take, and most advice you give is something you should be telling yourself. So if you're asking for inspirational advice, maybe you're really good at giving it, and that, I don't know. Well, I've drawn a logs. I'm gonna write something personal, so I won't share it, but that's little logs, and I'm gonna write something from the heart. Great. Cut. Action. Alex wants a Pugsley sketch. How about a Dead End Paranormal movie at Netflix? I pitched it. They were just not interested in making more. Sorry about that. Who would be a good fit for Norma romantically? Answer only if you're comfortable. I mean, Here is the thing. I don't think Norma and Badia were ready for each other at the time when Norma confessed her love, because I think Norma was kind of pedestaling Badia a little bit and like kind of infatuated, and was maybe I would say not misunderstanding, but projecting a lot of like, what should I say? She just made a friend and someone who like really understood her, and she had a lot of fun times hanging out. And so she was like, couldn't really tell if that was just like best friends or girlfriends. And obviously Badger said she was straight. So like that wasn't going to happen. I think maybe when both of them are a little older, a little maturer, after they've had a little bit of heartbreak, maybe they'll be ready to like try that again. But you know, life's not fair. But the thing is, we did come up with like, if the show had gone on for ages and if the comic had gone on for ages, I would have loved to have seen Norma with lots of different people. She does have a girlfriend at the start of book 3. I will not say who. But it's fun to explore her in a completely different dynamic. You can sort of see if that's a good thing or a bad thing for her in that section of the book. This is a good question. In the book, she 100% does. In the show, I think she does. I think she does. I really wish we could have like said it out loud, but I think the way that her mum handles her feels like she's read every single book about like how to bond with your autistic daughter, but she's just like doing it too much. She's like sort of sticking to the book and not like talking to her daughter. It's just sort of an experience that many of us have had. Would you consider doing a book signing or meet and greet in Brighton? I'd love to, if there was a good turnout. My brother lives in Brighton, and it's where I met my husband actually. So I'd love to come down and meet fans there. Is there a way we can help support the show? I mean, just keep watching it, keep talking about it. I don't think it's going to reverse any decisions, but it will certainly help with whatever I pitch next. I'm currently developing a few shows, so if you support me and watch those, if they ever come out, that would be really happy. For the free posters for the pre-orders, is there any expected shipment delivery? I don't know, but they are coming. I know that they're gonna come a little bit afterwards, but I don't know the exact date. Sorry about that. Can you explain why Courtney had the cuffs in the show? It was just part of the added storyline we had of Courtney being banished. We liked the idea of hinting at the angels really early on. We tried a few different things. The cuffs felt the most easy to fit with the character design, but we did try an ankle bracelet at once, but it was just a bit too cumbersome. Will you be signing at any UK events this summer? I'm doing London MCM Comic Con at the end of the month. That's 3 days, the last weekend of May. And I think we're trying to organise some stuff with maybe Gosh or Travelling Man up north. I don't fully know yet, but I plan to. And yes, I will definitely be back for book 3. Book 3 will be coming out around about the same time next year. I don't know which coast I'll be doing. I'd love to do both, but again, I often have to pay for it out of my own pocket. Sorry, I'm just looking through. I'm trying to prioritize questions that... Hamish, I've seen you liking a few posts of Becky Sloan. Do you know her in person? I do. Becky and Joe, creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, made their show at the same studio. They work at Blink along with me, and we were both doing like the final mixes for our shows at the same time. So yeah, we bumped into each other a lot. I think she's so funny. The thing I'll always remember is that I went to this like screening premiere of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and Joe said a bunch of like nice things about the crew and about the experience making it, and was like, yeah, thank you, it's amazing, blah blah blah, and blah blah blah. It was really nice and sweet. And then he handed the mic to Becky and was like, do you have anything to say? And she said, I just want to say Deadpool 2 is as good, if not better, than Deadpool 1, and I'm just every day wowed that they managed to keep up that quality level film to film. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. That's all. That's all. Madden? I don't know what Madden is. There's so many questions. I'm going to answer this one because it's from Barbara, who is part of the Dead End crew. And Barbara of the Sun, I think, describes her perfectly. It was always a huge beam of positivity. So give Barbara a follow. What was my favourite part of adapting your comic book to a TV show? Genuinely collaboration. I know that sounds like I'm only saying that because you and some of the crew members are here. But, like, making a whole comic on your own is fun. But, like, it's so much, like, I don't know. I think it's so much more fun to make it with people and, like, just see their points of views of the characters, and having people in the crew like tell you which characters they like, and I don't know, it was like that stuff is why you make art, you know, bonding with other people. So there we go. Thank you for coming. Is Bale going to be canon? 100%. The final panel of book 3 is them fully French kissing. How did Courtney recognize fingers at the beginning of season 2? This is a good question. It's not that Courtney recognizes fingers necessarily. They've never met. It's that Courtney knows what fingers is. Courtney is aware that and what fingers means. Courtney is aware that fingers is an angel, and you know, so when Courtney is saying like, no, not you, it's more like, no, not the feds. Did anyone catch that the whole second season is all about ACAB? Okay. Sorry, I really need to speed up. We're into hour 2 and I need to eat. But we have 3 more of the VIPs. Then I'm going to ask Streamily if I need to do another signing for the rest. If I do, I will, but I will like go through them really quickly because I want you to get these books as soon as possible. Hardcover for Chloe. Also, the lighting is getting really, really bad here. Is Barney neurodivergent? Also, what made you want to make Dead End so different from Dead Endia? I've seen lots of people headcanon Barney as having ADHD. I think that's pretty cool. My husband really struggles with his ADHD, and I think they have a lot of similarities in that I think they're both cutie pies. But here's the truth of it. All my protagonists are pretty much all on the spectrum. Like, I don't know how to write anything else. Maybe I shouldn't admit that, but I just like, it's just how I write. So they've all got elements. I'm just really, I don't know. I'm excited for the next book I'm writing because I really get to explore that really intentionally. My dog's awake now. But why did I make it different? It wasn't intentional, really, when I started off. I mean, I think the main thing is that I started writing Dead Endia when I was, like 19. And I'm like 32 now. And, basically just when you are adapting something that you wrote so many years ago, you're really lucky if it's like already perfect and doesn't need any work. But that's going to be not everyone's experience. And so I still really like the comics, but it felt really silly to have a room full of amazing writers in their own right and you know, not use their ideas. It would be really silly for me to be like, actually, no, the way I wrote this when I was 19 is the only way you can write this, and you have to stick to every letter. So I really embraced their point of view. One of the things we did on the first day was like, what do you like about the books? What don't you like about the books? And we like really ripped them apart to just make the show what it was. So I think that was a fun way of adapting it. So Chloe has asked for a drawing of Norma. I realised I didn't show the last drawing. They asked for just a sketch of Courtney. This is from Alex. Alex asked for a Courtney. So there you go. There's a Courtney. But Chloe has asked for a Norma from the show saying something encouraging or fave line in the show and adding a sentence at the end saying, "Thanks, Poten." I can do that. Is Danny British or Australian? This is very important. All the fandom wants to know. So in the show, he's American, just because. But he's meant to be Welsh. All of his slang is Welsh slang. So he's British, but specifically Welsh. But all of, you know. When will book 3 be out? About this time next year. Around about May. Here's a good one. Did you have any fun little ideas that would have been wouldn't have been full episodes but could have been a nice extras episode? That's a good question because there is lots, and part of it is because we did 20-minute episodes. If we'd done 11-minute episodes, there would have been a lot more time for ideas that couldn't sustain a full 20 minutes. We really wanted to do an episode of them going to karaoke. We had an episode of them doing like a work talent show. We had an episode idea of them on a cruise ship in Duress. I think that's the name of the plane. I'm forgetting it. You all know this better than me. But it's like the ocean plane. we wanted like a spooky ghost ship episode, which could have been a full episode, but like we had to really justify the visits to the planes, just because they were more expensive, and we wanted to like focus more on the park. Sorry. I'm writing quite a weird quote for Norma. They've asked for an encouraging fave line. And this is a bit more of a downer, but it really helped me. It is a little bit of a weird thing to say, but it's the only thing I can really think to say. So the second book is dedicated to someone called Lachlan. He was a really good friend of mine, and sadly he lost his life to suicide. And I know, sorry, that's a bummer of a thing to talk about, but the Norma quote is, sometimes you can say all the right things, be there for someone 100%, but it's still not enough. But that's not a reason not to try. And I was writing the show when this happened, writing the book when this happened, and I realised that in the first book, like, Pugsley, you know, sacrifices himself, and I never really wanted that to seem like a positive thing to have done. And just the sentiment that, like, I think people can always feel like, what if I'd said this? What if I'd done this? And it's like, that's not the reason. That's never the, like, it's kind of out of your hands. As much as you want to save someone and be there for someone 100%, like, sometimes it doesn't work and it's not your fault. So I'm sorry if that's a bit of a bummer, but it's a quote from the heart. It's the one that came to my mind. We've got two more. Sorry, we're almost there. I just keep being distracted by questions. This is for Riley. They'd asked for Pugsley and Barney hugging, which I can absolutely provide. There's so many questions. Any succulent meals recently? One of my local pubs does a Malteser cheesecake and it's yum. That sounds very nice. I was just in LA and I made a series of tweets saying that I hated the food. And I feel a little bad because obviously I had lots of good food there as well. I think I was just a little shocked at vegetarian options. LA is known as like, you know, everyone there's like vegans and hippies and stuff. And I went there and like, I'm sorry to say, London is excelling when it comes to vegetarian options. Like, I feel with LA, there was a lot of, like, I think they kind of separate the vegetarian restaurants and the meat restaurants. It's like you have to commit and go, and all your friends have to accept that's where you're going. So there's a lot of like speciality vegetarian places, but you also have to like drive miles to get to them. Whereas in the UK, even the like most dirtiest of pubs will have like 3 or 4 vegetarian options designed to attract meat eaters. Like, it's not the vegetarian option, it's like extra options that meat eaters might really like. And I think in America it was mostly just like, here's a veggie burger, or here's like an impossible meat, here's like one of our meat options that we've like made vegetarian for you if you have to make a fuss. And I was just really surprised by that. That said, I had some really nice meals as well. We went to a restaurant where we had like a pizza with like a huge dollop of soft cheese on it and like lemons on it, and it was crazy. And it came with potatoes, and we had some lettuce. I think sometimes when you're traveling you eat a lot of junk food, and we were like, I need to just bite a crisp vegetable, so we went out and got that. What was it? I had a good time. So sorry if my like negative thought on food seemed too negative. Can you tell that I'm like losing my mind? I find when I draw these characters, I'm like jumping between the show version and the book version, and sometimes that's not too noticeable. But I've fully drawn book Barney here with show Barney's hair. But that's fine, right? Eddie, don't worry. Almost done. There he goes. He doesn't like that I've been doing this for too long. But that's fair, I have been doing this too long. I've got one left. Today. I've still got a huge pile here. This is what's left, actually. But I've only got one left of the VIPs. Okay. This is my drawing of Barney and Pugsley hugging. Drawn by someone who desperately wants to hug my doggy because he's barking. Okay. This is an interesting thing I'm going to talk about. Before that, the final book I'm doing again is to Andrew, who I've already done one for. And they've asked for seeing Barney and Logs doing couple things, such as going on a date or snuggling on a couch watching a movie. That's a nice thing to end everything on. I hope you're doing well. How was you having a dog now feel after writing Barney and Pugsley? So I had a childhood dog, and that's what a lot of the like Pugsley feelings come from. I've noticed that in drawing the third book, I'm making Pugsley far more doggy in like his poses and actions and stuff. There's a bit in the third book when he grabs a piece of paper, and I think back in the day I would have just drawn him grab it with his hands, but now I've drawn him putting it in his mouth and dashing, and it's just based on how my dog, like, as soon as he grabs something he shouldn't, if it's a piece of paper, he'll just like go, huh, and then dash as fast as possible. And I think that's really funny. Again, sorry to talk about my next book all the time, which doesn't even have a title yet. But there's an animal character in that, and one sentiment that I want to express, having now had a dog, a real dog of my own, not like a family childhood dog, is... So my dog's still like a puppy, even though he looks like a ring wraith. But So he messes up all the time. He, like, bites things, he barks, he, like... you know, he's still not perfect in terms of behavioural stuff. But I still love him unconditionally. He makes me so happy. And I feel like if he can fully, like, bite and bark and pee and poop and do all the things he's not supposed to, and I can still love him unconditionally, then I'm also deserving of love, you know, when I make mistakes. And I feel like that's sort of the sentiment I want to get with this animal character, that they're, like, kind of scared and afraid of the world. And they're just learning, and they're not bad. Hello. He's joining in now. So that's just, like, a thing I've been thinking about a lot. Like, it doesn't matter, like... I don't know. I'm rambling now. I'm really tired. I'm gonna have some dinner in a second. I wonder if Glad has posted about the award yet. I'm gonna check afterwards. So I've drawn Eddie. I've drawn Barney and Logs. Doing a little couples night on the couch. Sorry about Eddie. Eddie. Shh. I think he's hungry. Eddie, come here. Let's see the people. First of all, here's Barney and Logs having a little couple night on the couch, watching a movie. And here is... Oh, no. Oh. You're feeding him now?
Yeah.
Okay. He's being fed. I was going to show the people the baby. But I don't know if he's going to want to now. Now you've picked up his bowl. I can move the camera. Look. There he is. There's Justin, my husband, and Eddie, my doggy. What a dream. Meet the people. Meet your fans. Aww. He's got a very scared expression, but that's just what Whippets look like. Okay. With that, I have now done all the VIPs. It seems like I didn't do very many because I have so many left. I still have 47 left. So if I do it again on stream, I'm going to have to be a lot quicker and answer a lot less questions. But it's been wonderful. I don't want to keep you. We've been here for 2.5 hours. It has gone dark around me and I need to eat. But thank you so much. I hope all the questions I got, all my answers weren't like too fandom shattering. I have no idea if any of this is like being like catalogued anywhere or if there's discords discussing any of this stuff. I don't know. But it's funny to drop a little grenade in the fandom and see what you do with it. I am every waking moment, but I'm not also taking my dog for a walk or playing Tears of the Kingdom. I am working on the 3rd book. I have a deadline this month. We're getting it finished very soon. And I'm really excited for you to see that. I'm also writing my next comic book. I'm really excited for you to see that. And I'm pitching, developing shows. I've been writing a movie, although we've stopped for the writer's strike. And yeah, lots more to come. I'll do more lives in the future. It was nice to see you too, Barbara. We'll see each other soon, I'm sure. I'd love to join more Discord servers if you'll have me, but I also don't want to, like I said, have it feel like dad's watching. But until next time, thank you so much. I'll try and do another one. And I've recorded all of this. I'll try and upload this to YouTube soon. Okay. Mwah. I love you all. Bye-bye. How do I stop? Bye.